Hello, my name is Rong Lu, and I am a program manager on the Visual Studio team. In the previous video, we showed you how you can take your Unity game to the universal Windows platform. In this video, we are going to talk about a different platform, Android. Android is a popular mobile platform for Unity games, but testing on Android isn't an easy task. Just think about all the different Android phones and tablets that run on different API levels, memory, and form factors that need to be tested. If I don't want my desktop to be fully occupied by testing devices, a fast and powerful Android emulator could really help here. Today, I'm going to show you how you can use the Visual Studio Android emulator for testing. We talk about two things. First, I'll show you how to get the Android SDK and the emulator installed, and then I'll talk about how you can run your Unity games in the emulator for testing. To export your Unity games to Android, you're going to need to install the Android SDK. And here is how you can get the SDK and the VS emulator both installed on your machine. It's really easy. Just launch the Visual Studio installer. Make sure you check Visual Studio emulator for Android and Android SDK options. And then Visual Studio installer is going to take care of everything for you. Alright, now we have the Android SDK and the Android emulator on the machine. Let's take a look at how we can run the Unity games in the emulator for testing. Alright, now we're back in the Unity editor. This time, we're going to export our game to the Android platform. To do that, I'm going to go to File, Build Settings, and pick Android this time. Hit Build and pick our folder and give it name of the APK file, and we're ready to go. Now, to save some time for the demo purpose, I'm just going to use the APK that I already built earlier. It's called vampkit.apk. So now we have an APK. We can start installing onto Android systems and start testing. In this demo, I'm going to show you how to do that in the Visual Studio emulator for Android. So going back to VS, go to Tools. Once you have the Android emulator installed, you should see this menu that says Visual Studio Emulator for Android. I click on that. This essentially is a manager for all the Android images. You notice that I already have a few images installed on my machine that represent different screen size, different API levels of the Android system. There's Lollipop, there's KitKat, there's lower levels too. It also tells me which device this is similar to, so you can kind of get an idea of what this is running on. So for the images that's already installed, I can just start launching my image. If I want something else that's not installed by default, you can click to download the image and Visual Studio is going to install for you. Once it's installed, you can then launch the image from here. So for this demo, I'm going to use a 4-inch Jelly Bean system. I'm going to launch it from here. This is going to launch the emulator, which is essentially a virtual machine. Once it's up, it's going to boot up the Android OS inside that virtual machine. Alright, we see Android here. Hey, here's my Android system. Alright, unlock this. Now we can simply install my app by dragging and dropping this APK file into my emulator. This is going to install the APK onto the emulator. Now it's installing. In a second should be done. It's installed successfully. If I go to my app list, I should see my app, which is this guy. I can now play it on my emulator now. Now it's launching my first level. In a second, we can start playing the game in the Android emulator. Here's my game. Hey, since I'm running on touch enabled screen. I can even just touch the screen to play my game. Hey, this looks great. I can move around. I can jump. Ooh. Oh, I died. Anyway, so here I am playing my Unity game inside an Android system. It's really, really easy to do so. And then you can go back to this list, switch to a different level or screen size and do all the playing that you want. That's all powered by the Visual Studio Android emulator. One more thing I want to show you. There are some additional tools that this emulator comes with, which allows you to play with a device. Like I can move the device around. I can see how it reacts when I change it to a different position or orientation. Or I can simulate when the battery is dead, what happens to my game if I'm not charging and battery is low, what happens, how my game reacts to that. I can take screenshots, I can enable the camera feature or SD card or simulate a network so I see how my game reacts in that network. So this is all comes with the Visual Studio emulator for Android, and you can play all sorts of things in here. It's really fun and it's really easy to use. I just showed you how to run Unity games in the Visual Studio Android emulator for testing. With that, this concludes our video series, Getting Started with Unity Development in Visual Studio. I hope you have enjoyed them. Thanks for watching. Hey, if you haven't already, make sure to check out the other videos in our series. Just click on the videos. And if you haven't got the tools installed, click here to get the tools installed to start building your games. Videos and tools.